Ever since the MG4 was launched in 2022, the brand has been on a huge growth spurt, having many new models introduced and the whole range being new, with now the oldest model in the range being that MG4. Well, this is based on that vehicle. It's the new MGS5. First of all, I want to say a huge thanks to MG UK for lending me the S5 for a week so I can give it a full in-depth review so you can know all about the vehicle. So the outside, it may be based on the MG4, but it does look quite different. So let's start with the exterior design on the MGS5. So this may look quite a bit different to a ZS EV and quite a bit bigger. Well, that's because it is, but essentially it is the replacement for that ZS EV, being a very similar price to that vehicle. In fact, it starts at 28,495 for an SE standard range, but there's some really decent deals on these at the moment. For example, this long range trophy comes in at around £34,000 with its paintwork, but you can have one of these for under 30 grand, brand new or a nearly new demo. There's two different trims. You've got SE, which is a standard model, and then this one, which is your trophy, which as standard comes in the long range. SE is available in a standard range and also a long range configuration. To the front of the MGS5, it's got quite a distinctive snatched angry face. So you've got this very kind of beaky sleek section up the top, and then your grille lower down inspired by the MG Cyberster. You've got these checkered flag LED daytime running lights, and then obviously those become your indicators as well. So very bold signature. Look how clear that is. Really cool, very clear as to where you're going indeed. MG have clearly focused on the aerodynamics as well, with having this very smooth bonnet and also these large air curtains to let air flow over the wheels, which are also an aerodynamic design. MG say it's got an X-shaped face with these sections going across. It just has more of a sporty aesthetic. You won't see any front sensors on the S5, no matter the trim, unfortunately. However, this trophy does give you 360 cameras. Alloy wheels on the S5 range from 17 to 18 inches. As standard on SE, it comes in the 17-inch Vector gloss black alloy wheels. They look a bit like steelies to me, a bit like steel wheels. I'm not a big fan of those, and they're also wrapped in budget come-ho tyres, so the grip's not going to be as good. Moving up to trophy, you get these 18-inch rotor style alloy wheels, which do look really good. You've got the two-tone look, however these kind of aerodynamic sections, a bit plasticky, metallic-y, and they're not my favourite. One great thing though is they are wrapped in Bridgestone Turanza tyres, which is excellent. They're one of the most popular and one of the best tyres currently on sale, so it's great to see MG have gone with them. Bridgestone also helped develop the braking system on this car, but more on that on the driving section. In Asia, they do have a different style of 18-inch diamond cut wheel, which looks really great, more of an open look, which will be less aerodynamic. So you can't change your wheel, it's basically just your SE, or if you go for trophy, you get the bigger wheels. Not too bad, not the most exciting, but the best thing about them is definitely the tyres on the trophy model. And what about colours offered on the S5? Well, there's a nice range, which is great to see. As standard, it comes in the pearl white, which looks fantastic. It's not just a flat boring white, it has got a metallic pearly effect, which does look good and definitely suits the car. Optional paintwork start at £545, including this cosmic silver, which is a pure silver. It looks really nice. I do quite like seeing silver cars back on the road. There's a few other colours to choose from, including the new Piccadilly blue. I saw that on the SE model earlier in the year in London. If you want to watch my walk around video on that car, you can click up there. A few other colours are available, including Camden Grey and also your black pearl for a really sleek look on the vehicle. Last but not least, at £695, you've got your premium option of the dynamic red. In different regions, they've got some more colours, which we always seem to be robbed a bit here of some exciting colours. They've got a mint greeny colour, they've got a champagne colour, and they've got my favourite, which translates to healing rice. Healing rice, yeah. I think that's quite nice. It's like a kind of creamy coffee colour. Bit different, nice with the light interior, but maybe just not to UK taste. Out of the colours that we get, I'd probably just stick to the standard white pearl, or the Piccadilly blue was quite nice. It's only when you get to the side of the S5 that you realise the size of the vehicle. It's about 4.5 metres long. That means it sits in the mid-size EV SUV market, going up against vehicles such as the Renault Scenic, Skoda Elroq and Ford Explorer, to name a few. To the rear of the S5, you've got the full LED taillight bar, which looks fantastic. Almost full, because it kind of stops at the MG badge and goes across. It flicks out at the sides like it does on the MG4. You don't have much of a fussy spoiler setup as the MG4 with the sporty look. It's got a clean aesthetic. You've got a real rear wiper as well, which is excellent to see. It does look quite bulky and cheap, but I'd still rather have one than not have one, so that's nice. And yeah, it looks quite good. No fake exhaust or anything like that. You've got your rear sensors there, and then your MGS5 EV badge there. I'm not sure why they didn't just call it the ES5 as they call it in China. This green badge too looks very like earlier EVs, like early Hyundai and Nissan Leaf reminds me of that. I don't think they needed that. They could have just had MGS5 or ES5 as I think they should have called it. Indicators are very clear as well. I'll show you those now. Maybe a tiny bit small, but they are pretty clear. One thing that I do find a bit annoying on the S5 is the keyless entry. As with the HS, it's a little button that you have to press like this to get in or out the car, and it can be a bit of a delay to open it, like so. It's nice to just have one of those sensors where you just grab the door handle and it'll open, and then you just tap and it'll just shut, instead of having this button, which is just not as nice. But it's a very minor inconvenience, especially when you're saving this much money. I've driven this car now for 365 miles, so I've managed to give it a really good test, living with it for a good few days and seeing what it's like, and I've really enjoyed it. It is a nice smooth drive overall, and there's some really good highlights which I'll get into in a moment. The view out is very good, the A-pillars aren't too thick, so that's a nice positive, and acceleration is very good, especially on a long range model. Your 0 to 62 figure is just 6.3 seconds, which, yeah, feels very rapid. You got 350 Newton meters of torque. They're all rear wheel drive. One great thing that I wasn't expecting is how good the grip is on this car. It's incredible. No wheel spin at all, and was also driving it with a lot of surface water in the wet the other day, so that's really impressive. When it was really wet, I just put the regen on low so we didn't skid when we went into the surface water, but honestly, it's been very good. So this has got 228 brake horsepower, the long range model, and then the standard has got 168 brake horsepower. So that does 0 to 62 in 8 seconds, this one 6.3. The S5 is a rear wheel drive, no matter the battery that you go for. There's not an all wheel drive model. However, the grip is very good with these tyres on. I couldn't get it to slide at all, even in the wet. I was driving carefully, of course, but yeah, gripping very well. The same could probably not be said for the standard tyres though, the Cumhos on the SE model. I've generally found that those tyres are not very grippy on other models that I've driven. So it being rear wheel drive is not necessarily a bad thing, especially when you have the good tyres on it. But even with these tyres on it, when it does become icy, this may well struggle, I can imagine. So an all-wheel drive EV, because you've got all that torque, is going to give you a bit more of a confident, inspiring feel when you're driving than a rear wheel drive or front wheel drive EV. But for most people, 99% of the time, this will be perfectly fine on UK roads. And how about batteries and charging the S5? Well, you'll find the charge port at the rear of the vehicle, which is a really great placement in my opinion. However, not everyone likes it if they need to access the boot. You do have your normal AC and your DC type fast charger port here as standard. You have fast charging capability of up to 139 kilowatts. That means 10 to 80% can be done on a standard range model in 24 minutes and on a long range model in 28 minutes. So not bad at all about the industry standard. That's very good. However, your normal home charging with your AC type charger port, here we go. Unfortunately, it's not 11 kilowatts or even full 7 kilowatts. It can charge up to 6.6 kilowatts. That means a full charge on this long range model in 11 hours and on the standard range in around 7 hours. So not too bad. Just overnight charge as usual, as you will, and save the money that way, which is good, but could be better. So there's two different choices of batteries you can have. So your standard range has got a 49 kilowatt hour battery, 47.1 kilowatt hour usable battery, official WLTP range of 211 miles. That's an LFP battery, so they're supposed to degrade slower but not be as efficient in winter, which is especially a problem because this doesn't have a heat pump. Going up to the long range model, you get a 64 kilowatt hour battery, 62 kilowatt hour usable battery. That gives you an official combined range of up to 200 298 miles for the SE long range and 288 miles on the Trophy long range, as you've got those slightly bigger wheels. I'd definitely go for the Trophy though over the SE. Better tyres, slightly nicer interior, and some extra upgrades is really nice. So 288 miles official on this. What have I been getting? Well, I've been getting 4 miles per kilowatt hour, but if I drove it carefully, I was getting more, over 5 in some cases, especially around town. It's really efficient. It is in this weather anyway. It's yet to be tested in the winter conditions and it doesn't have a heat pump, so that's something to watch out for. Maybe one of the downsides of the S5. No one has done a winter range test yet because it only came out in spring, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. Smooth acceleration, very good.
You are over the speed limit.
Yeah, she's a bit annoying. You do have your facial scanner as well that sees if you're paying attention, but it's not too invasive on this because it's in a good place just above the steering wheel instead of on the pillar like on the MG HS. You can also set your MG Pilot Custom up as well, which I'll show you how you do. And that basically means you've got your safety assistance systems turned to what you want them on as. However, if you go over the speed limit, even if you turn it off, she will still tell you off, which is quite annoying. So how do you set your MG Pilot Custom? And what you do is you untick anything that you don't want on there, and then all you do is you hold down this button and it will start loading till it turns blue, and then that basically has saved all of those settings for you, which is excellent. So all you have to do then when you get in the car, press the blue button and it will say customizing the MG Pilot may disable some safety features, etc. You just press confirm and then it sets it everything that you want, which is really good. So you just have to press a couple of taps to do it, which is quite easy. You can also save it on your stars on the steering wheel, so you could have that as one of your favorites, which is really useful. The accelerator pedal, especially with a higher regen, is quite firm. It's got quite a lot of resistance, so that can be quite fatiguing over a longer period of time. I've got the lowest regen on now, so it's a bit lighter, but when I put the high regen on, the accelerator just becomes a bit heavier. It's the same story with a lot of electric cars. The Kias are the same, the Genesis are the same as well, where yeah, after a long time, you can just get a bit of a tired foot because you feel like you're kind of fighting the accelerator pedal a bit. However, you do have the adaptive cruise as standard, so you can just chuck that on and drive like that. You've also got the adaptive regen as well, which will scan a car in front and kind of slow down based on that, which is also quite clever. Can be a bit last minute and be a bit jerky. It's not quite as good as the Kia adaptive regen. If I press that star now, it brings my regen braking. Low, medium, strong and adaptive. And then this star has been set up to driving mode. So you've got normal, sport, comfort, snow and custom. This little camera comes up as well when you indicate to show what's at the side here at the front. Can be useful at tricky junctions, but normally it's a bit disorientating, I'd say. And it only comes up at slower speeds. As I say, acceleration's nice and smooth. You've also got one pedal drive in as well, but it's quite strong, especially if you're gonna go onto dual carriageway, motorway, whatever. It's too much. We'll see what the acceleration's like picking up onto the dual carriageway. It's fast. That's 70. That was really quick. So it's got that nippy performance. It doesn't throw you into the back of the seat as such, but it's got that nip and it feels nice and lively, if you like, but puts the grip down so well. I'm very surprised. It's one of the grippiest EVs I've driven. It's much better than a lot. Another really good benefit of the S5 is the brakes. So they've got a setting called comfort braking, which makes the brakes smoother essentially. I've had that on the whole time and the brakes have been excellent. There's no sponginess or kind of disconnect. They're very direct. As soon as you put pressure on, the car slows down and it feels like you would get in a petrol car. They're very positive, so they've done an excellent job with the brakes. Much better than the Skoda Elroq. In that car, when you come to a stop, it's quite hard for it to not go skrik. And a lot of the earlier ID vehicles from Volkswagen, they also do it, which is just quite annoying. So it's nice that this is set up in a better way. It's also better than the Elroq, which doesn't do that squeak thing, but has a bit more of a spongy, disconnected feel, especially at the start of the pedals travel. And the brakes are also a lot better than the Omoda E5 as well, which have got kind of stages of braking and also feels quite jerky. This is extremely smooth and polished, so a huge thumbs up to MG for the brakes on this car. Are very, very good. You've also got discs at the front and at the back of the vehicle and no kind of squeak when you stop, which is good. Now to test how it grips and handles on a twistier country road. Really, I've not had any wheel spin. As much as I try, it's really sticking to the road pretty well. Not as much as an all-wheel drive, but they don't do an all-wheel drive S5 yet. That would be great to see though. You hear a bit of these kind of rattles at these more bumpier roads. You'll probably hear it. It's a bit annoying. Obviously, if you're playing your music, you won't hear it. On the motorway speeds or on smooth roads, you don't hear that. As I say, at these higher speeds, it's really quite refined, not bad at all. No wind noise from the mirrors, so better than the HS in that way. As you can see, the door mirrors look very slim and just quite sleek, and look how they're attached. It's quite supercar-esque, and that also helps. It's aerodynamic, and also you don't get any wind whistle from the door mirrors, which is not the same you can say about the MG HS. It's quite a loud one, so this is such a great improvement in such a short time, so well done, MG. Turning circles, very good too, so going around town is great. Around mini roundabouts, stuff like that is really easy. Very like the MEB vehicles from Volkswagen in that sense as well. Do have quite a high commanding driving position in the S5. It's truly, you know, quite high up. I also like the haunches on the bonnet. You can really easily judge kind of the width of the vehicle. It is quite wide, but easy to judge, which is good. These climate controls are quite good as well on the move, because you've got your where you want the airflow to be, your actual fan speed as well, and then your temperature as well on there. You can access those quite easily, which is always good. I just wish there was a little button for aircon itself, aircon on or off. That's the only thing that's missing, but it's much better than having to do everything through the screen. Blind spot monitoring on there in the corner of the mirror. It's not the best place. The Volkswagen Group have got them on the inside, which works a lot better. It catches your eye a lot more than very corner, especially when it's bright out. You can sometimes miss that. The vents are really weird. They're so small, so when the cabin's steaming up, you have to have them on like full blast. It doesn't have dual zone climate control either. When you think that you can get one of these for the same price as an EC3, it's a little bit of a no-brainer, like what you'd rather have, this or an EC3. A much bigger, more practical, more premium, more comfortable car, better for longer journeys with a bigger range, or a smaller, cheaper feeling car. I'd have this any day. Also, I really like when you pop it in park, the handbrake just comes on by itself, so really nice. The dead pedal's in a good place as well for you to rest your foot, so yeah, ergonomics are all quite good. They've improved. You don't have a height adjustable seat belt, but it's in quite a good place. For most people, it's not too high, it's not too low. As for the interior of the S5, well, it just starts when you get in the car, which is quite nice. However, unlike the Volkswagen Group models, which have like a little manual power button to turn it on, this doesn't have that. You have to sit down. There might be a secret way, but I'm not sure if there is. The interior looks nice. It's nice and modern. Materials are really decent, actually, which is excellent. I'm not a massive fan of this faux carbon fibre effect. Doesn't look the best. I did quite like the kind of tartan effect they had on the MG3. I think that looks really good, so would have been nice to see that or something else. There is a new thing for the S5, and that's this 12.8-inch central touchscreen. HD is very good, and it has some surprising tricks up its sleeve, which I'll get onto in a moment. The only thing is it is facing slightly away from the driver, which is one of my pet peeves. I'm not a massive fan of that, so that could be improved. This 10.25-inch digital driver display is great as well, and both of those are standard on the range. You don't get a heads-up display, but this 10.25-inch driver display is standard, which is quite good. It is quite glossy though, so it does get a bit of glare, but it's not too bad because it is nice and bright, which is good. I love the steering wheel, very Audi-esque, which is quite funny because they have a lot of ties with VW Group SAIC in China, so they definitely take some inspiration here and there, which is a little bit cheeky, but I do like it. As I say, this 12.8-inch touchscreen is facing slightly away from the driver. The same can be said though for the Skoda Elroq, the Enyaq, and also the Kia EV3. They've all got screens that tilt away from the driver, so it's not unique to this car. It's just nicer to have it tilted towards the driver rather than away. As I say, there's some tricks up its sleeve, like it's got TikTok built in. Yeah. Bit crazy. Luckily, it won't let you use that while you're driving. I think you'll be pleased to know, but this is the most Gen Z thing I've ever seen in a car. So, I mean, I don't recommend going on TikTok in a traffic jam, but, oh God. Yeah, very, very weird that you have TikTok in a car. More importantly though, you've got YouTube on there. Good for when you're stopped off charging or whatever. So, you can watch videos in the car. I'm watching an MGS5 review, sitting in an MGS5, reviewing the MGS5, watching myself review an MGS5. Isn't that great? You'll also now get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard too. Also, your 360 cameras on this trophy model are very clear, so you can see all around the vehicle. Unfortunately, there isn't like a both sides feature, which you can see at the same side, but you can always see this above view should you wish, which is nice. That's the rear view. When you pop it in reverse, the cameras do come up by themselves anyway, and it also shows you on the sensors how many centimeters you are away from something. Also, the front camera is quite handy too, so if you're pulling out of a junction which is a bit closed or there's a wall there or whatever, the wide view, you can see quite far that way, which you wouldn't always be able to see if you're obstructed by a wall, so that can be really quite handy. Got 2 cup holders here and your wireless phone charging on trophy. Weirdly, they did have the cup holders here and the wireless phone charging there in different regions. Not sure why they've changed it, because big bottles can actually block them buttons, so that can be a little bit annoying. Materials though are good. You've got this armrest with plenty of storage. It's not adjustable, but if you're small or if you're really tall, it should be comfortable for you. It only has 6 speakers on this trophy model, and on the SE 4. So the sound system just scrapes by on this trophy model. I could get on with it every day, but if you really are into your tunes, you won't be really loving it that much. It's much better than the one on the ZS, because that's probably one of the worst sound systems I've heard in a car. So it is better than that, but it's more like the standard speakers that you'd get in a Kia or a Nissan. But both of those brands offer like an 8 or a 10 speaker premium sound system, so it would have been nice for them to maybe do like a Bose sound system like they do in the Cyberster, but I understand they're keeping it down to a lower cost. Another thing that it's missing is a sunroof. Other regions, again, they get a sunroof, but we don't get that, unfortunately. It's nice and bright and airy in here though on all models, because they've all got a light headlining, which is good, but lots of people like to have the sunroof, and I think that would be nice even as an option to have it. We also only get one colour of interior, whereas in other regions they get a really nice creamy colour interior, which looks great. They are introducing that on the IM cars, which are the more premium ones that they've just launched, but I get that this is definitely more practical. As standard on the SE, you get full cloth seats, which are very comfortable. I sat in that early in the year in London and it was really nice, more comfortable than these seats actually. The passenger seat is always manually adjustable though, and it doesn't have any height adjustment, unfortunately. You can just go forward or backward, and of course adjust the backrest as well. The seats themselves are actually very cushiony, which is nice. However, the bases could do with a bit more length to them because they're quite short. On this electric adjustment, it's just forward and back and up and down. You can't actually tilt the base. Also, as this is the trophy, you've got part synthetic leather, part tweedy style cloth, and this synthetic leather is a little bit firmer than the cloth, so on a long journey, again, if you're pressing on the accelerator, which is already quite resistancy, if you like, you can get kind of a sore under thigh after a bit, which is not the nicest. So it is more comfortable on the SE cloth, but that just doesn't look as hard wearing or as premium as this, unfortunately. So there is better cars out there for comfort, but this isn't the worst I've sat in by far. It's been pretty good. I did a 4-hour round trip and it was fine. Nice that you've got the adjustable lumbar support on the trophy model and also the heated seats. Headrests are also quite firm, wrapped in the leatherette fabric as well. I do really like the MG monogram though, which some may not notice in the centre line of the seats. I think that looks really smart. Honestly, it's up there with most manufacturers now. They're getting very close. Got a bigger glove box than you get in a Volkswagen, a Skoda or a Peugeot. Another thing that I found quite useful with the vehicle for the few days I've had it is the MGI Smart app. It's free at the moment and it's pretty good. It's up there with like the Kia app, etc. You can lock, unlock the car. You can set your climate, you can turn your heated seats on, heated steering wheel, so that's a nice luxury thing, especially in the winter. And the great thing about it is how easy it was to set up. It's the easiest app I had to set up. Literally, it took 30 seconds. I had to scan the QR code and it was on. Most cars you've got to put in the VIN, then you've got to go inside, you've got to put a code in, and then it doesn't always work and you've got to put in the VIN again, and it can be quite a frustrating process to set up, but this was so fast. You just go into your user, and then you could just connect the vehicle and it just comes up with a QR code, which is really good. So then you can use your digital key and everything like that. Well, that worked absolutely beautifully. The kick under function on this trophy model for the electric tailgate. On the SE, you just have a standard manual tailgate, but that worked really well. One try and it done it straight away. But how does the boot space compare to competitors? Well, you got 453 litres in here, so it's 3 litres more than a Ford Explorer, but not quite as big as the Elroq or the Renault Scenic, unfortunately. It's also 7 litres smaller than what you get on a Kia EV3, which is quite a smaller vehicle. However, it's a very square shape, and this honestly doesn't disappoint in my opinion. It's plenty big enough for most people. It's absolutely fine. About the same size of boot that you'll get in a Nissan Qashqai. You've got the adjustable boot floor as well for your cable bag in there as well. Boot floor. You've got tools, which is your warning triangle. Really nice to see that included. Tyre inflation kit and a little bit of space just down there. Feels a bit flimsy that, but you won't be using that too much. And then plenty of space under the boot floor as well, which is good. You can also, of course, drop the boot floor down, and then you've got even more space, which is really good. You've got a normal parcel shelf, which is fine. Not bad at all. There's no 12-volt socket in the back of here though, but there is a little light, which is quite handy. There isn't any latches to fold the rear seats down from the boot, but I'll fold them down so you can see that is really not that bad. It slides up, but quite good. You can see MG have definitely improved the materials as well. You used to be able to kind of see the Velcro more on the backs, kind of here sticking onto this bit, but it's tucked away now. You still have the Velcro along the side of the seat, but much better. Yeah, it's very good, very practical. The seats don't sit as high up as they do in the Skodas when they fold down. They're still quite bulky, whereas these go quite a bit flatter, which is great. Under the bonnet though, there is no additional storage, which is kind of hit and miss on this class anyway, so it's not really a surprise. You do have your 12-volt battery though in a great place, and all your coolant's easy to top up there, and your windscreen wash as well. So not too bad, and it is neatly packed away, which is great. What about your rear practicality in the MGS5? Well, I'm about 5'8", this is where I sit, but loads of knee room, and headroom's excellent too, thanks to that boxy shape. The floor's completely flat, which is nice. You do sit quite high up. On this trophy model, you do get the armrest, which feels very good quality with 2 cup holders in there. It's really cushiony, so that's really nice. I do like that. Unfortunately, on the SE though, you don't get a central armrest. Your middle seat is quite firm, the back and the base. That was the same case on the SE as well. Even though that was all cloth with no central armrest, it also was quite firm. So not the best. An adult could sit in the middle seat for short journeys. Isofix points are really good on MGs. I really like how they do it. You just have a Velcro flap that you just pull down, and then you can really easily access the Isofix points, which is fantastic. So they've done a really good job with that. It's just a bit of a faff to get back in, and there we go. But it hides them a lot better than a lot of other manufacturers, so yeah, not bad at all. Unfortunately, there's no slide or tilt function for the seats in the back, but they are in quite a good position here, giving you enough boot space and enough leg space. You've got the same good materials on the seats in the back as you do on the front seats, just not as much on the door cards, etc. Pocket on the back of each seat, and just one USB-C. You've also got vents to feed through the climate to the back, which is great to see. So then, what are my final thoughts of the MGS5? Well, I've been driving it for the best part of a week now, covering nearly 400 miles in a range of different conditions, and I've really enjoyed the vehicle. Very impressive, especially at the price point and especially at the deals that you can get on the car. It's quite incredible. It's one of the most European feeling Chinese vehicles I've driven as well, and I think most people will like some of the familiar elements inside the vehicle that doesn't feel too alien to them or too unergonomic to use. Definitely things that could be improved. It would be nice to see an over 300 mile range version to compete with the Elroq 85 and the EV3 long range models, and also a premium sound system be an option. That would be great. Maybe more comfortable bases of the seats as well. But for the price point, you can't really argue. I think it looks great too, a far cry from the ZS as well. It just looks so much more premium. It doesn't look like a cheap vehicle. It looks like it's got more its own identity now, which I really like. Thanks again to MG UK as well for lending me it for the week so I can give it a full review. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it answered some of your questions about this car. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.